Hello, hello, young titans. Welcome. Welcome. Today is September 26th. We are almost nearing the end of the year, and we have this wonderful platform. So, good afternoon. It's 12 p.m. here. So, good afternoon from me, but good evening, good morning. Well, welcome from all over the world. So, Young Titans platform is where young professionals and entrepreneurs join after their college graduation or when they are in the workforce to propel their career. You need to get inspired, become a part of this thriving community, and if you are not a part of it, you're missing out on it. So join us. Also, share this live recording with your friends, family, and others. Like our page, subscribe to our channel. One important thing, please send us live questions in the Facebook comments. And you can always email us at info@unextleadership.com. So, what exactly is YTP, Young Titans Platform, and why do we need it? Well, YTP fills in the gap
Live
from
recording with your
what you know and what you need to know for you to succeed. In short, YTP fills the gap between you and the leadership. See, there are schools, colleges, and departments to start a career. On the other hand, they have leadership training and many technical training in each corporation for their workforce. But what happens to the new graduates? What happens to you, young titans? How do you graduate and excel? Well, first thing is that you need to find better career once you start entering the job field or to be an entrepreneur. Because right now there is nothing that is existing today to fill this gap. I've seen plenty of people in this subcategory who are indecisive of their career path or really confused. Now, I'm Raj Kapoor. I'm the founder and CEO of Options Ahead. For over 30 years, I worked as a chief financial officer, but always had this entrepreneurial spirit within me. So I worked in a job, always had businesses on the side. Now I'm teaching wealth and mindset principles, including running online course, along with my mentoring and coaching. I'm an executive and wealth mindset coach. I'm also a host on the internet radio station IBGR.network and speak about guidance to wealth. I'm an author, entrepreneur, have multiple businesses in many industries. Now, just to tell you, this is not to impress you, but impress upon you that this has come through a lot of hard work. And if you do understand and hear all our speakers, all the leaders that are here, this is to help you gain from our insights, from our so called hardships and failures, so you don't make the same mistake. Well, let me introduce you to some of the folks and who can talk about themselves as we start. First, my dear friend Sheikh, who is right here with me. And Sheikh is an engineer by background, and he's the founder of Unext Leadership for Training, emphasizing the values one needs to have. He liked to work with people. And you know what? He was slowly drawn to people who value people. That is where his leadership journey started. He wanted to learn how they do that. His inspiration are few people that include some people in this community and are here with us too. Well, his family, starting from his grandmother, his daughter, his sister, and his wife, from whom he learned a lot of the leadership basics. He likes to hang out with the like minded people and he likes to share or teach what he knows. One reason behind that is he knows teachers learn the most. He will be the host along with few of us as we co-host our panelists. Let me introduce another great friend of mine, Jan Roberts. He spoke in YTP week before last on intentional leadership. Leaders are servers. Jan is living proof of that. He helps corporate decision makers discover their major challenges and create sustainable solutions. Well, having worked in global organization with diverse team for 30 years gives him a lot of insight and knowledge about major organizational challenges and many of its causes. Well, he's joining us from Scotland. Welcome, and another great
Yeah.
friend, Arthi Moore from South Africa. Arthi is a dynamic leader and a speaker, and was featured speaker last week. Didn't she connect with you so well last time? It was an amazing, amazing session. She has over 20 years of experience as a successful entrepreneur with two international companies, celebrating Humanity International as an international diversity and inclusion specialist, and Key Leadership Institute, specializing in exclusive value based leadership training programs with a focus on creating huge impact in many countries. Recently, she was awarded National Builder. Welcome, Arthi. Next is a great friend, a great speaker, Ron Cooper. Well, Ron and his wife Marty are retired US Air Force and CIA officers. Now they are in their 52nd year of their marriage, and they are relationship coaches. Ron and Marty have created a wonderful course on relationships. I went through that course. I know the value of it. If you haven't, reach out to Ron. And I'm telling you, you would love his courses. Ron helps organizations develop their high performing teams through human behavior insights, personal coaching, and leadership training. Both Ron and Marty serve through their Cooper Culture organization. Welcome, Ron. And now we have Dr. Halida. Currently, Dr. Halida Akhtar is a faculty member of International Health Department at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Well, let me say, her achievements and rewards will be very long, and we will be here for a long time if I start going on that. All I'll tell you is that she is the award winner of United Nations Population in 2006. She's an excellent orator. She has was the first person on this platform, and she is the one who started all this with her energy, with her enthusiasm, and how she connects. She is our advisor and inspiring faculty and mentor for the Young Titans platform community. Thank you, Dr. Halida, and welcome. So, today, as the last week of the month, we are going to be having a panel discussion. And our topic, a very important topic, very close to my heart, why mentoring, why coaching? In my opinion, in today's world, many times these two words are used very lightly, and sometimes they lose the value. But do you know, mentoring and coaching are of utmost importance, specifically young titans at the level where you are. I can contribute all my successes and all my knowledge, lot of my knowledge, to the people who mentored me and coached me. Those are the people who set you up there. You cannot get to that level just by yourself. Even your parents could be your mentors and coaches. So, we are bringing some people who will talk about the topic of coaching and mentoring and how it impacted their lives, what they understand, and how you, as young professionals, can benefit using the understanding of these two things. Why don't we introduce our panelists? So, first one is Kamrul. Kamrul was just recently featured in large circulation of a newspaper in Bangladesh, and he is the co-founder of CKH Network, which is similar to YTP Vision for the youth of Bangladesh, who are still in universities to grow their skill to be in the workforce. He is our partner, collaborator for this platform, and he has empowered us with his IT team. Well, he happens to be one of our panelists today. He's a great friend. His charisma and dynamic nature has propelled him as one of society's shakers for the young generation in Bangladesh. Next is Anwar. He was born in Bangladesh and is a biomedical scientist, currently working as a program director at National Cancer Institute in NIH, responsible for overseeing cancer-related grants that fund research in academia or industry. He moved to USA 9 years ago and worked as a scientist at the Texas Tech University Health Science Center and National Institute of Health in Maryland. Before moving to US, he was a PhD student at Tokyo University of Science in Japan. His undergrad and MS from University of Dhaka with a major in biochemistry. Currently, he is living in Maryland with his family. Now, did you hear all those qualifications? I can bet you would love to hear from him today. Welcome, Anwar. And now, finally, John Hollis, my great friend, a great leader, an amazing guy. He has 25 years of service leadership. Well, John's clients have come to expect and appreciate his exceptional service. As a lifelong resident of Mid-Maryland area, his knowledge of each community as well as his personal involvement in his own community positions him well to advise each client regarding their real estate choices. He's a friend to all and a community leader for all ages, including the young generation. He mentors people in his own organization and any other who seek his guidance. And I have had the privilege of that. So thank you, John, and welcome here. Now I give it over to Sheikh. Sheikh, let's start. Take over.
Awesome. Wow. Wonderful introduction. So I don't think for myself, I need any kind of introduction. But Jan, Arthi, Ron, and Dr. Halida, if you want to get started, and then I can invite Kamrul if he's available. If not, Anwar can get started. Jan, anything from your end?
No, I'm just, thank you very much for the introduction, my dear friend Raj, and of course Sheikh too. Really appreciate being here. I'm just looking forward to this session. I don't want to take any time away from the panelists today because I know they've got a lot to talk about. I love the subjects of coaching and mentoring. So, you know, I just want to be all ears, and I've got a pen ready. And anybody who's listening in, like and share this, because there's a lot of people who will get the same wisdom and the same value out of it as I will. But have a pen handy because you'll be writing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Raj, for the great introduction. From your introduction, I see that some people are extra gifted from God in their speaking capacity. I mean, it's such an extraordinary trait of a person, and every time I listen to you, I get so moved. Thank you so much. And I think we should move on to our speakers. We are waiting to hear from them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's move to the speakers because we don't want to take much time. We are already 13 minutes on the hour. So we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes each speaker, and then we'll get into the question and answer session. So Kamrul is not here yet, Jahid, I understand. So in that case, Anwar, if you want to take over, and then we'll go to John. And if Kamrul comes, we'll go to him after that, and we'll get into the Q&A. So yes, please, it is a great topic. We cannot wait. What is mentoring? What is coaching? Where do you use it? How you became what you are today, and your success, please, or your any failure, please, if you want to start with that.
Yeah, thank you. Especially thank you, Raj, for nice intro. I think it's extraordinary. So as Dr. Halida said, so some people has an extra capacity or something extraordinary. So Raj showed that, and he gives a very nice introduction. And thank you for Next Gen to introduce me. And it is an honor. Actually, last few weeks, I have listened a couple of speakers from this platform. And then I really feel glad that I got an invitation to speak, and thank you, Sheikh, for that. And I would say today my presence is also a listener, learner, and in parallel, I will share my experiences because I recently moved to my new job as a program director. So That's why probably I will just repeat the way Raj introduced me. So I born in Bangladesh, as Raj said. So I graduated from University of Dhaka, and then my major was biochemistry and molecular biology. So after that, in 2005, so I joined in an international research organization. It's called ICDDRB. So I did research around two year and 5-6 months, something like that. And after that, I moved to Tokyo University of Science for my PhD. And then over there, I was around 4 years. 2011, I moved to USA in Texas Tech University as a biophysics specialist. So I moved there, and 2014 I moved to NIH as a researcher or research fellow, and in 2009, end of 2019 or early of this year, I left the research, which was my core expertise, and then I joined as a program director in National Cancer Institute to run and one of the biggest portfolios or the study section, which is called biophysics study section. So my job is to fund the projects and then identify where we have to fund for cancer research. So this is one of the works I have done last 7-8 months around. So the reason I was reiterating because I build with a soul or core expertise in research around 15 years, and mostly I have a very narrow focus. So if you see my trajectory, so I worked in the lab science. So it's like every day I went to the lab. I started working. After a week, I have some outcomes or the project's outcome, which I just submitted to my supervisor. So every week we have the lab meetings and publish papers, so something like that. So that type of circle I went through, and then this is actually a typical life of a researcher. So I was also not exceptional in that process. So as a lab professional, I am saying, so it's something like I am like confined in a very specific circles like supervisors and lab colleagues. So it's a very less chance to interact with the other people unless we are really interested. And then my personality is not like introvert or like extrovert, so something like in the mid of that. So in 2011, when I moved to US, so I was something like dreaming that I would like to be a faculty. So that was my dream. If you ask why is my dream something like that, so my answer is I was following my seniors or my colleagues or something like that. So particularly, I did not focus like individually, like why I would become a faculty, whether I have that expertise or I really like or not. So something like it's like I'm following someone. So then I worked really hard. Like sometimes I work like insanely. So I neither interact with my friends, colleagues in other departments, nor I went to the seminar to learn something. So this is the cycle I went through in Texas around 2.5 years. So then what happened was, which was quite unexpectedly, that I suddenly called from my supervisor, and then suddenly she said, like we are out of one of the NIH's grants, so which is the biggest grant, and then probably you have to leave the lab in 2-3 months or 4 months, something like as a highest. So I was not preparing that, and it was suddenly a shock, and you can understand. So there are several other issues. One is family, and another one is the visa issue. So if I lost the job, somehow I have to leave the country. So that was the situation. So I desperately looking for the job. Then what is the options? I think I knew a couple of people in our field, so I was writing, and most of them are the academic faculties. And then in addition to that, I also wrote to or applied to the industry. But when I applied to the industry, I never got response. So a couple of response I got from the people in the academic field. So one of them is my previous supervisor in NIH. So then I had a couple of interviews, and then finally, I would say luckily, because it was just 2 months gap between the job and before leaving the country. So something like that type of situation I had. So then I luckily got the job, and then I came to NIH. So then, since I had the very bitter experience, because I did not have a lot of interactions with the people, so I started learning since my beginning of NIH life that how I can learn what I would like to do in future, or is there any other options besides the faculty, or am I the qualified person to become a faculty? So some sort of questions I had in my mind, and then I started looking for. So it's 2014, and nearly. So I moved in the end of 2014. So around 15 or mid of 15. So I went to the seminar. I went to the career fair. So some sort of events I explored. So then one of the sessions I still remember. So it was like a mentoring for non-bench scientists. That means if you don't want to be a researcher, but you have a core expertise in science, so then what are the options? So I attended that event, and then I observed, or I noticed there are a couple of options. Maybe I can also look there up. So that was the thing. So then I started getting some interview, like meeting some expertise in that field. So luckily I got an interview call. Interview means it's the informational interview from the OIT. It's called Intramural Training Department in NIH. So who said, I will give you 1 hour, and then you can share your experiences and what you want to do in future. So I think right now, if I say myself, like this was the most important 1 hour in my life, because I met with her. The first questions, she said, I know you have expertise in science, but if you fail in the science, so what are the options you will look for? Because then I can understand, and then I can connect your scientific background to other professions, so something like that. So then I gave 3-4 other options, like, okay, this could be the options. And then she was saying, okay, so why do you choose these options? Whether you have any expertise or not. So something like that. So then the first thing she said, so I was not familiar. So today you are saying mentoring. So I was not familiar with this word particularly, because nobody told me, or even I didn't learn. So then I learned the word mentoring. She said, I will mentor you, so then you can get some feedback, like, okay, this would be the path, or this will be the way you should go, something like that. So I started interacting with her. So then around 16, so in addition to the research, so I often went to her like every 3 months, and I was looking for like alternative options, like in addition to research, what I can do. So the second thing she was saying, you can do some voluntary work. Like, okay, so you want to be XYZ, then do you have that skills in order to become XYZ? So then I said, no, I don't have. So then she said, okay, so you can volunteer, start volunteering. You can look for the options where you can do some voluntary work. So the first thing I wanted to do was the scientific editor in the journal, because I was interested in writing. I was thinking, okay, so since I know science, probably if I learn, so maybe I can translate my skills into the editorial job. So this was number one options, and she was guided me. Okay, so don't only look for the number options. So you have to build some other options like backup plan, is it? So what are the other options? Like, okay, career in pharmaceutical science, and then other things. So then she was saying, okay, so if you want to become a scientific editor, you have to learn how can you communicate your science to the general platform or the non-scientific background people. So then I started working as a volunteer in one of the platforms. It's called Fellows Editorial Board. So I was working for 3 years over there just as a volunteer. So partially, like on Monday, I was doing 2-3 hours work, and then on Sunday, so it's basically the volunteer, I took out my private time, and then on Sunday I worked for 4 hours for them. So, and then I started building my skills over there. And in addition to that, the backup plan was pharmaceutical industry. So she was saying, go and get some skills, like you can take some free courses or some less paid courses, something like that. And I was really lucky because I was in NIH, and then we have a lot of opportunities, so something like that. So I took some courses and started building the knowledge on pharmaceutical sciences, which I did not have, and several other things, something like regulatory, something like scientific writing or clinical perspective. So these are my ways I started gaining some skills. So then 2017-18, I was applying. So I did not got response. So then in addition to her, so I actually often meet with another professional. She was also becoming a mentor for me. So she suggested you start building. So the thing I know, you have a lot of expertise, but probably you have less networking. So you start building your networking. So then this is the way. And then that was the time I learned what it's called informational interview. So I did not know that. So then I started exploring networking of options, building my networking, and managing the informational interview. I got help from her as a mentor. So this is the way I built my networking. And then finally, like I started. So although I had these skills, but because I did not have proper networking, so I did not have the like solid interview. So then 2018-19, so I started getting the interview. And then now the thing is, I got the interview, but somehow I did not succeed at the last moment, or somehow, luckily or unluckily, I don't know, but somehow I did not succeed. So I went back and forth to them. Sometimes it was quite emotional things. Like at the last moment, they said, "Oh, okay, you are not selected." So then you have to share someone in addition to the family where they can suggest as a best person. So then my mentors, so they actually suggested, okay, forget it, take a deep breath and then start. So something like that, because it's an emotional draining. So you have to absorb somehow and to move forward. So then 2019, so it went really well. So really well means I got interview. Some of them were close because right now I'm just focusing on the coaching point, because I did not know I would be a program director. But since I have the skills in science in addition to the communication, so then there was one program director I met in one of the informational interviews. She said, so you have to summarize and you have to make your resume in such a way that you can sell in this platform. So that was the first event I learned from her, that I can sell myself to that community. So then I started looking for the opportunity there. So, and she actually guided me. So it was something like, you can say, coaching, because she said, okay, do this, do not do this. So something like that. So then that was the, I can say that this was one of the core value which I added from her, like what I have to do, what I don't have to do, something like. She was the person who guided me. And then during my interview, like it's a long process, like what you have to do, what you have to prepare. So that was the thing she suggested. And then the thing I'm today saying, that I am the program director, I'm managing these things. And one of the things I should say that it is because of her, because at the end, she actually not only mentoring, it's like coaching, because somehow you have to know very deeply. And then that was the part she was helping me. I think I will stop here. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, yeah, definitely. That was beautiful. In a very short time, you went through so many things, but we're going to come back to you. But at this moment, we'll get John Hallis to start his journey and definition and things he has to mention about coaching and mentoring. And then we'll come back to panel discussion session. Jahid, if John is available, please bring him on. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, John,
I was having some internet connectivity. Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here. And I want to quickly, you can certainly be impressed by accomplishments, but I think you're inspired by lessons learned and failures. And if you would allow me, if this is a safe space, I'd like to jump right into my lessons learned, because your time is valuable. So the first thing is, maybe like you, I was very skilled early. I was very accomplished early. I moved very quickly among any rank that I was in, largely because of the training of my parents, the work ethic that they gave me, my integrity, the ability to be trusted with the keys to whatever building it was that I was involved in. And growing up, that created a mindset in me that I was pretty special, that all I had to do was show up and I'd be successful. It would be really nice if the world just rewarded the most accomplished person, but that's only a part of the secret to moving ahead. So it was a very early mentor to me, and I remember it was a very big shock to my system the first time I was told that I'm very, very smart, but I'm not nearly as smart as I think I am. And understand the weight of that conversation. I had never been told that before by anybody that I respected, but I was being told by people that that I respected, that held the keys to the success of my future, that even though I was smart, there was so much more to learn. And so the first biggest lesson in coaching and mentoring is a humility to understand that no matter how much you know and how good you are at what you do, there's still so much more to learn. So two really critical points to that are, first of all, you need self-awareness. You have to understand who you are, what you're good at, what you struggle with. And to get that information, you really have to seek it. No one, no one's going to come up and tell you that you're difficult to talk to. Nobody's going to come up and tell you that you're arrogant or you're condescending. Because it's no one cares enough to confront you. What's in it for them? All they're doing is asking for trouble. So you really have to seek out that information. I was in a Fortune 100 company that I had joined, and I was one of the first 15 people to come from outside that organization. Up until that point in its 50, 60-year history, it was largely promoting from within. And the gentleman that I was replacing, he was moving to another part of the company. He said something to me. I mean, this company had a notorious reputation for just being a very difficult place to work, a place that expected a lot, was very hard to impress, and no rewards, but they paid well. And at that stage of my career, that was driving my decisions. I had 4 children, I had bills. And so I took the job largely because I needed the money. But what he told me on the first day that I was there was shocking to me. And he said, the first thing you have to do is everybody in the organization has a ticking time bomb on their back. And it's up to you to find somebody who will tell you what everybody else in the organization knows about you, but nobody will tell you. And he called that the soft politics. So in terms of organizational growth, there are politics. There are skills that you're going to need, communication skills, being able to succinctly take a thought and communicate, make sure it's understood, being able to inspire, being able to encourage. One of the early books that I read that was very, very transformational for me was John Maxwell's book, which was Developing the Leader Within You. And then subsequently, there was another book that said Developing the Leaders Around You. And leadership is a totally different set of skills. You may be the best engineer, you may be the best doctor, but when you're leading other people, that skill set is totally different from you and different from the one that you have. Most of the people on this platform, most of the people who are committed to the Young Titans platform are committed to the platform because of the lessons that were learned the hard way by us not having people in our lives early enough to really make a significant difference for us. And there in those scars, in those lessons learned, becomes a passion to try to help you as young Titans, as young professionals, to learn the lessons that we were not able to learn because we did not have mentoring and coaching. Another way to look at mentoring and coaching, look at the greatest athletes in the world. You might say Tiger Woods in golf or Messi in football and soccer. Each one of those, I assure you, each one of those has multiple coaches in their life, even though they're respected as being the top proficients in their sport. I know Tiger Woods, for instance, he's not has the success that, but use him as an example. Many other golfers, they have a swing coach, they have a putting coach, they have a mindset coach. These are people who not necessarily have greater skill than the person that they're coaching, but they have an awareness, they have an understanding, and they have an ability to communicate that knowledge in a way that can be transferred. Because really, when you talk about leadership, it's about magnifying and multiplying what you know as an individual. That's really where the magic of leadership comes. It comes from, okay, the organization likes me. They like that I'm responsible. They like my work ethic. They like my integrity. They like the results that I achieve, and now they are looking to promote me to more responsibility. That skill set that I just described to you is not going to be the key to your success when they're now in charge of a larger work group. The key to your success is going to be your ability to communicate, your ability to build trust, your ability to be unbiased in the way that you look at people, to be able to see them and evaluate them based on where I would call their being unconsciously excellent. Again, the awareness tools that you use to learn about yourself, you have to also be willing to then invest in these other people that are in your charge to be able to position them for success. There's a great saying that says leaders build platforms where others can shine. And that's really the job of a leader, is to know the people on their team, know their strengths, know their weaknesses, and then work as a coach to put them into positions where they have the highest likelihood of succeeding. So one of the first things that I would say when you're talking about coaching and mentoring is you have to have a humility that you understand that no matter what your track record is, no matter what your mom and dad say about you, no matter what your wife or your girlfriend or your husband or your boyfriend say about you, you have a long way to go. You are a work in progress. And there is valuable information out there that you need to know both about yourself as well as the way that the world works that you have to get to. And nobody is going to come and present that to you. This is, as Rod said, this is such a rare opportunity because these folks that are before you are intentional. I mean, it's at their own sacrificial leanings to be here on a Saturday morning to give you something that you desperately need. So the first part you have to understand is you have to know that you're lacking, that you have a need in your life that needs to be filled. And you're showing up to the Young Titans platform is the first step in pursuing that knowledge. So congratulations to you. I admire you. We don't worry about who's not here. I congratulate you for taking the courage and summoning the courage and getting yourself onto the screen to get information you desperately need. So humility. The second thing about mentoring and coaching is if you are a coach or a mentor, you have to love people. You have to love people and you have to love helping people. Otherwise, you're going to see it as a drain on your time. You're going to see it as a drain of your energy. You're going to see it as, I hear people constantly who are in leadership that talk about their responsibilities as babysitting. That to me communicates so much to me because that tells me that they don't really like the people that they are in charge of. What they really like is the parking spot. They like the salary. They like the benefits package. But it's really inconvenient that they have to interact with people and that the people have to they have to serve the people. So it really comes from a love of people, a willingness to serve, to give of yourself, and I would say sacrificially. One of the things in developing the leader within you, John Maxwell talks about the 5 levels of leadership. And all of us, when we are given the keys to the building and put in charge, that's the first level of leadership. And that is the lowest common denominator. The only reason that folks will perform, and they'll normally only perform as long as your car's in the parking lot or the camera's on them, is because you're in charge and they have to listen to you. That's it. When John Maxwell talks about the legendary 5-level leadership, the person who's achieved to the 5th level, those are people who have invested themselves in their lives consistently, intentionally, sacrificially for many years to help people achieve their dreams. There's a great saying that says, if you help enough people achieve their goals, then you can't help but achieve yours. Because not only do you now have friends and you have colleagues and you have deep relationships, but you have people that are committed to your success. I mean, when you've achieved that 5th level of leadership, and you're described by the people who you have served, they would do anything for you as a leader. And for many of us, that's hard to imagine because we've never had a boss like that. We've never had a leader like that was so unconditional in their commitment to us as people that they would sacrificially do things that puts them at risk to enable our success. So think of how powerful that individual could be in your life. If you had it, many of you, I can tell you, as it was for me, many of us have never had that person in our lives. Or if we did, it was a teacher who saw potential in us, who called out that. There's a great description of a coach that says a coach can see greatness in the individual before their success is realized. They see the potential in the person. They see if they line up the attitude and the approach and the way that they commit time. Gary Keller, who's the founder of Keller Williams, which is the company that I'm associated with, says there's only two reasons that I, as a small business owner, will not succeed. He said the first one is that I don't know what I'm doing. That's one of the reasons I'm with the greatest training company in the world, in Keller Williams, is we can help you with that. The second one is that you're not spending the right amount of time on the right activities. That's where you need a coach. That's where you need a mentor, someone who's going to have information and perspective and experience that's able to tell you the best way to apply your time and your talent and your resources to achieve your goal. So the first thing you have to know is where you are, where you're starting from. And you have to have an accurate assessment. A coach, a mentor will help you with that. And it's got to be someone. One of the first conversations that I have with mentees of mine is, how honest do you want me to be? On a scale of 1 to 10, how honest do you want me to be? Now, let me say that really the value is in someone who's going to be a level 10 honest, someone that you can trust and you respect. Is going to be a level 10, even though you hate what they have to say because it hurts you, or it hurts your feelings, or it makes you see yourself in a light that is not really attractive to you. You desperately need that information. You don't need another person to tell you how good you are. You need those people to tell you where the opportunities for improvement are. My wife is the most consistent. She is very, very smart. She's my North Star. She keeps my stupid on a leash. And what I mean by that is I respect her enough to know both her intelligence and also her passion for me, that she will tell me what I need to know, even when I would rather not hear it. That's what you need in a mentor. That's what you need in a coach. Someone who cares enough about you that they will show up and they will give you the hard information, and and knowing that you know how much they care about you. Think about that. Who is that person in your life? Do you have that person in your life? If you don't, these people that are on this platform that you've met, they are committed to being one of those people in your life to be able to help you understand who you are, where you are unconsciously excellent, where you don't have to think or try any harder. You just show up and be you, and you shine. And to take the things that you're excellent at and then start to supplement them with things that you struggle with. As the speaker before me was talking about, he's a very talented individual, but he was struggling with a lot of the things that were adorned to the job responsibilities to which he coveted. So you need someone who understands the complexity as well as the totality of the world that you'll be operating in, to make sure that not necessarily that you'll ever be unconsciously excellent in all those things. That's unrealistic. Each one of us only has 2 or 3 things where we're wired so that all we have to do is show up and be us, and we don't even have to prepare. But we have to at least either have mitigated the risk of not being good at things, either by having people on our team that we know and we trust and we work well with and we communicate with, that will cover those things for the team, or else we have to get to a competency level where at least it's okay. It might never be great, but at least it's okay enough to get the job done so that it's not constantly a focus of yours. So mentoring and coaching is very, very important. The other thing that first coach that told me that I was smart, but I wasn't nearly as smart as I thought I was, and I wasn't nearly as smart as I needed to be, was that success leaves clues. So one of the things that a coach and a mentor will do for you is they will help you imagine where it is that you want to go, not only where you're starting from, but where it is that you want to go. And they'll create a list of things that have to be accomplished or achieved to be able to get there. And most of the times what they'll do is once you identify, and it sounds easy to say, to identify your goal and to your ultimate destination, but it's much more difficult than most people admit. In fact, most of the times when they throw out, well, this is what I want to do with my life, usually that's not it. It's either something their parents have told them, something a teacher has told them, something their wife or husband has told them. But maybe that's not really where your passion lies. And following your passion is foolishness. Understanding your passion and being able to function in the world that you're in, given your passion and understanding the atmospheres and the environments and the people that you work best with, that's absolutely critical. So once you understand where it is that you want to go, then a good coach will say, well, who's already doing what you think you want to do? Who already has what you think you want? Who already is impacting the world the way that you think that and hope that you will one day? And then you reach out to them. One of the things that powerful conversations and powerful relationships, this is a relationship business. If you're not good at relationships, coaching is going to be hard for you. Mentoring is going to be hard for you. Receiving the input from a coach is going to be hard from you. And certainly finding someone who you trust enough to have those difficult, fierce conversations with is going to be very, very, very difficult for you. So much so, I think you'll avoid it and you'll never have them until you have even enough humility or you're learning based enough to say, even though I don't like eating the vegetables of my career progression, I really need to enjoy vegetables. It's not a matter of eating them. It's enjoying and learning to enjoy the hard things, because that's really the hard things is what leadership deals with. If everything was easy, big part of my job is solving problems, keeping my composure when everybody has lost their composure. Yesterday was a very, very hard day for me. In the real estate business, you work for months and years, and you only get paid when the transaction settles. Yesterday was settlement day on a transaction, and it was unraveling. I spent 10 to 12 hours yesterday of my personal time doing things that I typically would not be expected to do, because that was what was required for me to serve my client well. That was what required of me to get to the settlement table. I had to put money at risk that certainly my wife would prefer I didn't put at risk as the bond on my word, so that ultimately the transaction would happen. That's what leaders do. Leaders do whatever required. And a mentor and a coach in your life will do whatever required. Let me tell you the downside of coaching. I had a coach once. And now a coach really is holding you accountable to what you said your goal is, right? So I've got several coaches in my life. And one of my early coaches was a very powerful coach, had a very good track record. And we would talk on a weekly basis. And the week before, we had a phone call, and I had committed to getting several things done in the course of the next week. So on the next week's phone call, the first thing they asked was, how did you do on the goals that we set from last week? And I said, well, I got busy. I wasn't able to get them done. And my coach hung up on me. And then I called the coach back, and the coach said, listen, if you want to waste your time and not hit your goals, that's up to you. But now, as your coach, you're wasting my time. And one of the things about powerful conversations that taught me is that talented and accomplished people will be very generous with their time and attention, but you have to be respectful of their time. For instance, I have set about as a goal of mine to personally interview all of the powerful people in the worlds that I want to operate. And what I do is I call them up over and over and over again, asking for their time, asking to get in front of them. And then what I want to do is I want to ask them I don't want to waste their time. What were some of the lessons you've learned? What are some of the things that you would suggest from me? When you talk to me, what are some of the things that you suspect I need to improve on? Who is it? There's two questions that I generally wrap up with. One is, now that you know me, who is it that you know that I should be talking to? And the second question that I ask is, imagining that I had the capacity to help you with the toughest problem you're currently facing, what is that problem that I might be able to help? And those two questions are very powerful in getting into the personal, the person of that that I'm talking to. And many times I'm helping the person that I sought the help of, because of who God has made me to be. I'm a connector. I'm very rarely the answer to somebody else's problem, but I'm a connector. I'm very, God has given me the ability to build trust very quickly and to communicate that I care. And all of those things come in very, very handy. But a lot of times I'm sitting across from a table from somebody who I thought has everything that I want. And I found out that I have the one thing in my life, either being good at relationships or a strong family or a wonderful relationship with my kids and my grandkids, that they can't even imagine ever having because of the way that they've approached their life. So those are, I'm looking at my notes here just to make sure I haven't missed anything. I understand that my team has told me that I like to talk a lot longer than people like to listen. So in case that's happened, I'm just about done here. Really focus on relationships. Coaching and mentoring focuses on relationships. And if you're not good at relationships, you're being a coach and counselor is going to be a coach and a mentor is going to be very difficult for you. And if you're not good at relationships, getting the help from a coach and counselor is going to be hard for you. So I would say these folks that are here on this platform, the Young Titan platform, all of us are committed. There's no money in this for us. We're not doing this for money. We're doing this so that that there will be a lot of people in our lives that we can point to and say their success, I was part of their success. So thank you for having me. Thank you for my time. God bless you all, and stay well.
My goodness, I cannot stop listening to you, John. You can go on for a long time and I can hear. That's not a problem. But anyway, just in the interest of time, just some announcements and some few things, and then we're going to get into discussion. I think there's a lot to discuss here, and we can. I am super powered up. Remember to join and become integral part of this community, because that's where it benefits you, and it benefits you more than anybody else. First reason is what you just experienced in the last few minutes. Second reason is the environment you get, the association. This is priceless. Remember, volunteer work is not free. It's priceless work. The value is irreplaceable. Lastly, the people here will push you to get better. You will not get better or up-level your standard only for money. It is the respect. It is your association. It is your coach and mentor who care about you unconditionally. Sometimes that is much more value adding to your life than what your friends or family can do to you. But anyway, keep your questions coming and on the live Facebook or email. But let's get to question. Raj, if you want to conduct the questions or anything, or if you want to get started with that, please. This is awesome.
No, I'm fine. I think whatever questions you have, you can start with that, Sheikh. I was just enamored hearing John and Anwar. Both of you did a wonderful, wonderful job. And it was like hearing in a hypnotic trance. Okay, let me get it all in. And I just loved it. Excellent, excellent. It's what you poured into. I really hope that young Titans are actually hearing this and understanding this. Because when many times at this level, people look at it and they say, how come people became so successful? Were they lucky? And now what both of you said very clearly, that you create your own luck, and your own luck comes by mentors and coaches who you value. And I would say both of you did a wonderful job in telling your story. Both of you are also exceptional coaches and mentors.
So Raj, I have a question already since you said. So let me read that question from Sabrina. I think the question is for Anwar. Did you have only one specific mentor or coach, or was it paid, or you had multiple people who helped you, guided you?
I think initially I just have one. So because first thing I have to understand, like how mentoring is going on. Like so initially I had one, but then gradually I thought I have to interact with some other people and like they can mentor me. So then it's a multiple means two or three, and it is always good to talk with the uh, people like as a mentor, because then I can get more feedback, and then it's actually based on me who I should choose to. So that's the thing. So and then I listen actually. So specifically, if I say four at the last, like four person, I always interacted to, and then I never paid because I was working in NIH. So most of the time they have a platform, and in addition to that, I was also engaging someone. I cannot say the name, but as for example, I interacted like you or Raj because they have a huge experience because of their life. They learn from their life, and then they share like what to do or what not to do. The main thing I'm just echoing with John is uh, like we don't know the weaknesses, so that's our main obstacle. Because once you learn like what is your weaknesses, so then you can improve yourself. So that's the thing I wanted to learn. And then so good side or bad side, so I always listen my weaknesses. I never listen my strongnesses because I don't care that. So honestly, I'm saying. So because once you know what is the weaknesses, so then I can improve. So that's the reason I listen from several mentors so that I can find out my weaknesses. Yeah, and then luckily I was not paid. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Okay, anybody else? Go ahead, please.
I think one of the things that comes to mind with what Almal just said was that there's this thing called the Peretti Principle that some people would call the 80-20 principle. And the reality of it is that 80% of your success comes from 20% of your activities. And many of us spend our life focusing on the 20% of our activities that don't really, or the 80% of the activities that don't really deliver any value. For instance, where the power of finding where you're unconsciously excellent, that's just another way to find that I would say your absolute strengths. Most of us spend the majority of our time in most of our workplaces focusing on what we're not good at to try to stop being incompetent. In fact, there's a saying that says it takes more energy to go from incompetent to competent than it takes to go from competent to excellent. So really part of our self-awareness and part of our fit within a work team is ideally is going to be a place where we can focus on our strengths, and that the things that we're not good at is someone else's strength on the team. Otherwise, I'm spending all my time trying not to be incompetent, and I never get around to becoming excellent. And that's really why they hired me, right? They hired me for the things that I'm good at, and yet I never have time to do that because I'm constantly trying not to be incompetent in the things that I'll never be good at. Like paperwork and I do not get along. I do not have the attention span for it. So it's not that I can't do it. If I summon all of my energy, I can do that. The book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, is a great example of that, and talks about, we think we're multitasking. Well, our brain doesn't multitask. We lose 25% of our energy when we go from one task to another, and we're constantly bouncing. If we're focused on just what we're good at, and if we could do that for the course of an entire day, think of the power of that as being part of a work team who's also focused on only what they're good at, and combined, now we're this powerful, dynamic organization that's achieving just excellence and things that books and case studies will be written about, because we have cracked the code. We understand that life is an interdependent sport and about relationships, and we're in the midst of a very powerful group of people in very solid and healthy relationships. Simon Sinek talks about that a lot. The role of the leader is to create an environment where trust is paramount. You don't have to worry about the politics. You don't have to worry about the things that you're not good at, that each person is able to function at their highest level, at the highest point of their skill and creativity. That's where beautiful things happen on any team, no matter the industry.
So may I add a little bit? So the reason I was saying I never paid, so because NIH was paying those mentors, so that's why I got the opportunity to interact. But if you ask me, and flashback like 15 years back, and then I know the value of the mentors, then I would love to pay, because this is how I can grow up myself. So that would be the better answer, because someone was paying for me. That's why I got the opportunity to get some service for mentor. But the value of the mentor, so it shouldn't be something like free. So free is not the good option. So something like, I would say, even a career coach or mentorship. So if I get the real service, I should pay. So yeah, so that's the thing I wanted to add.
And I think the point that Sheikh and Raj both talked about, volunteering is a powerful one, because in many of our organizations, perhaps we have evolved and we've matured beyond our organization's understanding of this topic. So the volunteer opportunity is a way for us to cultivate our skills. It's there are points in your life where sometimes you can be giving so much that you're not investing in yourself. And one of the passions that we have, where we have a couple of nonprofits that I'm on boards that serve the very underserved people of Baltimore, particularly the children. I was blessed to have a dad as a leader in my life. He still remains one of my heroes, even though he's passed. And I understood the power of unconditional commitment and unconditional support. And part of our approach going into the city of Baltimore, to the degree that we do, is to be a dispenser of that unconditional love, support, and what I call scandalous favoritism by someone that all you have to do is show up and be willing to be present, and you will be a beneficiary. And so to the father, what we would say would be largely a fatherless city of Baltimore, to be able to take the lessons that I've learned from my mentor, my dad, and be able to pay those lessons forward to people who were not positioned in the background that I had. So, mentoring a lot of times takes a lot of different forms. And certainly it's a lot of people who require coaching and mentoring don't have the financial wherewithal to pay for it. There's group coaching. There's volunteer efforts that maybe you join the volunteer effort just because of who's leading the volunteer effort, so that you can learn service, you can learn leadership, you can learn communication skills. But again, that's your responsibility. You have to own that. You have to seek it out. You have to be very intentional in doing that, because it's a rare opportunity where that's presented to you on a platter. You've got to find what you need, know what you need, and find it, and then secure it.
Well, yeah, absolutely, John. Yeah, and just to let everybody know, and John and I, we have done some. I have done some close work with him, and I have seen him, what kind of mentor he is, and what kind of leader he is, and how he steps in and become part of that process for people who are seeking for it, and he will know where to mentor, where to put in time. So when first you take mentorship and coaching, and then you become coach and mentor, you have to have one coach or mentor all the time for you to go to the next step, because or your next stage. Because if you didn't know if you knew where to go and how to get there, you would be there by now anyway, right? So you need some. But anyway, from the relationship point of view, I know Ron, John talked about that already, but I know you are an expert on the relationship. Any questions from that part, or anything to add, or any other question you have?
No, not a question. John was, and this entire group was very articulate in expressing relationships, but it is a matter of how well we relate with other people. And it's a matter of acceptance also. We are very different, but hopefully we can all accept each other's differences and identify the strengths in each other. So very well said, very well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Last week, I know, Arthi, you talked about compassionate leadership influence. I mean, it resonated with me. I mean, it was intriguing, no question. But now you heard another compassionate leader. So from your point of view, any question, any comment, anything you want to add?
Now, I thought I learned tons from John and from ANOWARUL today. And I thought that was really stunning to listen to both the personal journey as well as your experience. The question I've got for ANOWARUL is, what was the most intriguing question that your mentor coach gave to you that stimulated your thinking?
You're on mute, Anwar. We cannot hear you yet. You're on mute. There you go. Now you're good.
Yeah. So I think, if I recall correctly, so one was the thing the first mentor suggested. So it was like, what was your short-term plan? What was your long-term plan? So something like, so it was the most intriguing point in a way, something like I focused on in 6 months, or I focused in 5 years, so something like that. So in a way I was working on. So I think if I particularly say, so then that was the most intriguing point, because I then separate, like, okay, how do I make my life in 6 months, and how do I make my life in 5 years or 10 years? So that's, so shortly I can say that.
Wonderful.
Sheikh,
Halida, yes.
can I have some comment? Yeah. I would like to share a little bit of my life. I know it's long ago, but two types of mentor I found. One is you yourself is your mentor. You look at yourself, what are your qualities, and where you are, you need to perform better. Like one time I went back from US doing my PhD, and then I was giving a lecture. And fortunately, that lecture was recorded and given it to me. So I was sitting at home, I was listening to my lecture. And I realized that there are some things that I don't like in my lecture, like you are doing and you are not, keeping pace or something. So I said, okay, these have to be removed, and I have to perform better, because that's the one thing that I'm doing repeatedly, and that's one of my best activity in my profession. So you learn from yourself, but you have to have that very good willingness to learn and change yourself. I had another kind of mentor who are my remote mentors. So I could identify people that I would like to follow from distance, because sometimes, in our culture at that time, we did not get opportunity to have direct mentors, like most of the organizations that I entered first and I created or something. So I will always mentor for others, but for me, mentor, I had to create myself. So I would follow my secretary, or I would follow my boss. How did he lead his life? How is he doing well? How is he connecting? So I would learn from there, and that helped me a lot. That is one thing. When I look at a person who is a mentor, like I look at John, I look at Raj, and I look at Ron. They are mentoring many, many people. And when I look at them, they're like a big banyan tree. You know, in Bangla, we say botgach. A banyan tree who is willing to give shelter to some, willing to give shoulder to some, you know. And I say, you have birds sitting on your branch and pee and poo, and you tolerate that. But you are giving shade to someone who needs your reference, who needs your learning, who needs to learn from you. But you are looking up a sky and you are still growing. You have not stopped growing. So all these traits, if you look at in a banyan tree, I look at a coach or a mentor of that quality and of those features that you have. You give at the same time you take. And excellent John's lecture, you reach out, you respect people, you connect younger people. You know, you are not going to be insulting yourself. You will be looked up if you go and touch up connections with your younger people who you have worked. You are encouraging them. How are you doing? You know, are you working hard? Are you moving on to next phase of your life? You encourage them, send them few words, and that is good enough for you. You don't always have to be in a paper and pencil, a coach or a mentor. So there are many ways of mentoring people, many ways of coaching people, depending on the stage of your life. And I see that at this stage of my life, it's very satisfying for me when I encourage people to move ahead, when I inquire them, how are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You know, what is your thesis? You know, are you working hard to go ahead? So that reaching out, I think, is an excellent quality of mentor. I have another thing I've seen that a lot of today they have to create their own platform. I think Raj had to create his platform, John and Jan and Arthi. Its platform is not given to you, you know. So, and one more thing I would like to talk about. Sometimes you volunteer, but you sometimes volunteer to a job which is very low paid, but you see a great potential for a platform where you can dance. And I tell my people that you have to create a stage. You make up, you get up, you learn, and you dance on your own stage and perform. So the times that we were growing up in a country like Bangladesh, we really had to start from scratch. So you develop your own stage, you do everything, and then you enjoy dancing on your own created platform. So these are, you know, various phases of your life that you achieve, and great mentor is the giving person, the person who is willing to give and get satisfaction out of that and get happiness out of that. That is the great mentor and great coach that I qualify them. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Jan, any question from leadership point of view or anything for John or Anwar from you?
Well, I think, you know, with us keeping an eye on the time, I just want to say thank you very much for both of you. I've learned a lot today. The only thing I really think about when I hear, you know, people get confused, you know, whether they need a coach and whether they need a mentor, and then we hear about Tiger Woods and the sports coaches, which is totally different from another coach. I think when you know, ask as youngsters, the young Titans, ask for help. And try to figure out what kind of help you need, and a coach or a mentor will appear. But try to get some clarity on what a coach and a mentor is, but at least ask. Don't try to do it all on your own. It's very lonely, and you know, we all get help. John mentions Keller Williams, and I've seen the training manual, which is absolutely mind blowing, by the way. And I've seen so many of these kids, and we've all had help, and we all support and help each other as well. So ask for help, you will get it.
Thank you, Jan. Yeah, John gave me that book also. I read it 2 times, one thing, believe me or not. So it is a wonderful, wonderful book. Raj, any quick second to do? Otherwise, we'll close it. We are 3 minutes over.
Well, I think in lieu of time, all I will say is thank you to everyone, specifically Anwar and John, who were the main speakers today. And you just added so much value today, extreme value. And last thing I would say here is that for the young professionals is many times, at least I know for sure, when I was in that stage, I always used to think that if I need a mentor like that, if I ask, it is just too much of an ask. Why would that person help me?
That's true.
And what I realized later on was that most of the people who have made it are more than willing to help and give their ideas. They will tell you how they succeeded. And that is where you need to reach out. Don't
Sure.
shy away from it. The maximum you can get is a no. It's a big deal. Then you find somebody else. But if you don't ask, then you won't get it. But my
Well
question is,
said.
mentors and coaches are a must for you to grow because they shorten your period of learning and they see the blind spots. That's the best part. So
Well
that's what.
said, well said. Awesome, awesome, Raj. Yes, when the student is ready, the teacher will arrive. So we all saying the same thing, and I absolutely. And so today we had a great speaker, Anwar, who is a new generation, I should say, and John, who is more experienced, of course, and we learned a lot, and the discussion was great. So thank you for coming here, who are watching this live, and then some questions, and who are watching it later. But please put a comments on the Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're seeing it, and we'll get back to you if you have any question, anything. And next week we have another young generation, and she's a women leader. She's already a speaker, established, and a government worker as well, and a mother of one, little one, and all this. So she's coming on the platform, Alexia Ferrari, from Maryland also. So you're gonna enjoy that. But with that, we're gonna end. Thank you again. Thank you, Jahid, and everybody who's working in the back, and of course all the speakers and panelists.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anwar.